Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to my channel. My name is Paul, the Canadian Snowman, back here once again with another awesome video. We are doing Soviet gear, why it didn't die. I'm not sure if it means the fact that it never got tore up, like a gun, like maybe like never jammed or something. Like why it just never, you just couldn't destroy it. It was just made to last. Like if that's what it's referring to, or the fact that maybe they never changed their weapons or their gear for like a long time, or like maybe they've used the same weapons for years on years. They didn't, create new ones because if it wasn't broke, don't fix it, kind of thing. I'm guessing it's the first one where like the stuff was just made to last. It was just good quality, kind of thing. I'm assuming that's what they're referring to here. I could be way off. I don't know. But yeah, we're gonna check this stuff out. Please hit that like and subscribe button below. I'd appreciate it. And yeah, let's check out the Soviet gear. Woo! All right.
Hello and welcome to something a little different, a brand new series for the channel.
Feature history. Yeah, we've already done a couple of videos on here. This is interesting. We actually have someone talking to us this time. This is a first.
Feature fittings, which has been brought to you by Skillshare. But yes, a brand new series. One to showcase a world of historical garments, from steel to cloth, from armor to, well, these are jocks. But yeah, it's got just about everything. Like this yellow stuff, and this camera stuff, and oh, the thing you actually came for. This uniform stuff, because today in Feature Fittings we're going to be talking about Soviet gear, why it's made the way it is, why it's found where it is, and why it stood the tests of time.
Okay.
Now that might seem quite innocuous at face value, but hear me out, I haven't actually...
So pretty much what I was saying, why it lasts, I guess, why it didn't die, because I guess, did they sell their gear to like so many other countries too, right? But...
point to make. And what better way to make my point than with pictures? Take a look at this digital graphic I can't actually see. It's a 1980s US soldier in Beirut. Then look again, 2008 Afghanistan. Now let's do the same with the Soviets/Russians. 1980s uniform, 2008 uniform.
Wow. 1 second, guys.
Obviously.
Okay, so like I said, I guess what I said was pretty much spot on. I guess if it ain't broke, don't fix it. They just never really changed their gear. They kind of kept the same look, and plus I guess the good guns just didn't fail. I guess, right?
1980s uniform, 2008 uniform. Obviously, the US gear evolved quite a lot more than the Russian gear did in the almost 30 years between those 2 points. So why is that? Why is it that Russians continued to use Cold War equipment long past the point they probably should have? Why is it that Soviet gear didn't die? Well, to start, it makes sense to talk about the gear itself. On me, I'm wearing a 1994 First Chechen War VDV impression, because it was affordable. Now, I like to think that Soviet and Russian equipment like this was built on a principle of 3 S's. Simple, sustainable, and cheap. So, first point, simple. Do not confuse this with simple to wear, because it's not. Just look at this bag, try figuring that out first go. Instead, it was very simple to make. Production was heavily streamlined so as to help the Soviets get a massive amount of equipment to their massive amount of people. Individuals' comfort and ergonomics were to be compromised, or rather straight up disregarded. But hey, when the Soviet manufacturers' only competitors were on the other side of the Iron Curtain, who's to complain? Now, this simple production fed into simple maintenance, meaning the equipment had sustainability. When it breaks, you can fix it. I managed to fix a bit of my own kit, and I'm me. Sustainability was great for the Soviets because they loved to recycle, and with this, they could do it again, and again, and again, and again. And of course, both of these factors translated into cost efficiency. For the Soviets, it would be very much quantity over quality. They wouldn't have much fan.
Well, it makes sense, because I guess it really depends on your budget, I guess like the look. I don't think like the look, like the style of it. Who cares? Like I don't think that makes a big difference depending on like what country you go for. Like the camouflage look. I mean, whether it looks cool or not, that's not gonna save you. Like I said, no war. I mean, I guess one camouflage is better than the other in a certain situation. But as far as the design, I don't think that matters really. But definitely because like the United States, their military budget is like through the roof, like let's say like 10 times more than like the next country down or something like that. And so like money is no object to kind of like work out the kinks and details in the design. They kind of can do whatever they want. But when you have a lower budget, you're kind of like I said, assembly line, whatever the cheapest way, cheapest way that works kind of thing. And yeah, I guess it makes sense why it hasn't died, right?
Fancy gear, but they'd be able to equip every one of their soldiers, every one of their allies' soldiers, and basically anyone who just asked. There was plenty of Soviet gear to go around. Although this isn't to dismiss the...
I'm guessing that in that case, their gear was probably used in a lot of other different countries. A lot of other countries probably bought their gear just because of the price point, on it. Probably right.
There was plenty of Soviet gear to go around. Although this isn't to dismiss the importance of fancy gear. The equipment we have today is obviously better than Cold War technology, or else we wouldn't have it. Instead, my 3 bullet points should serve not to explain the superiority of Soviet gear, but why it still has some appeal. However, we're not just talking about gear in this video, we're talking about Soviet gear. So what is it about the Soviets that kept this gear in use long after its expiry date? Well, that comes down to everybody's 2 favourite factors, politics and economics. To explain that, we're going to need to take a look at some history. Going back to the Second World War is when I'd say the Soviet Union first emerged as a dominant military power.
Right.
Soviet arms development and trade was crucial to the survival of the communist leadership, and so was not taken lightly. During the war, over half the country's economy was poured directly into military spending, and after the war, the Union peaked, and the arms race of the Cold War began. The Cold War didn't see the same wartime production from before, but it was still substantial. Soviet arms and equipment were developed rapidly at this time and found their way to the states of the new Warsaw Pact, socialist states abroad, and even many third world countries. And that trade played a big part in the prevalence of Soviet gear today. They had sent their gear off to China, North Korea, Yugoslavia, Cuba, Vietnam, Cambodia, and a whole ton of countries from India to North Africa. With this kind of demand, you can see why the Soviets emphasized simple design and mass production so much.
Oh yeah, I guess they were probably making bank off all these other countries buying their stuff. So yeah, been right.
As time would however go on to show, this trade was about as sustainable as the Soviet Union itself. The Cold War slowed coming into the 80s, and with it, so too did the entire economy. Third world exports halted as China and other countries got stuck into their own manufacturing and trade, and military spending would fall into decline even with the ongoing Afghan war. The 80s was evidently a decade plentiful of economic and military failure for the Union. Most of the old leftover equipment we see today are from this decade of decline. The consequences of this go well beyond just the scope of this video, as it wouldn't be only the stagnation of military development, but the entire nation. Because infamously, as a result of their past failures, the country's downfall would come in 1991, as the Soviet Union was dissolved into 15 states. The bulk of the Union would be handed to the new Russian...
I'm curious. All this old gear, you could probably buy it, right? I mean, is a lot of it like on eBay, or is there like special sites where you want to buy like some old Soviet gear? Just kind of like for a showpiece. I mean, since a lot of it was made, maybe someone who's watching this, maybe from Russia, can maybe tell me. It's just kind of cool to know. I'm sure it is, just like probably any other gear you can get. I'm sure you can probably find it anywhere as long as it's not like weapons and stuff, right?
Russian Federation, and with the bulk of the Union came the bulk of the infrastructure and surplus of the old Soviet military. And of course, the Federation inherited the many problems of the Union. The economy was in shambles, unity was hard to find, and order was not guaranteed. In this kind of environment, it comes as no surprise that the young Russia would see war come quickly. The 1990s were hard times in Eastern Europe. The Russians would find themselves in Chechnya, Georgia, Tajikistan, Moldova, and others. And their funds were about as low as their morale. So on all of these fronts, the Russian army would find themselves wearing the old gear with a new flag. The belt buckle really tells the story better than I could, as Russian soldiers had to continue adorning themselves with the hammer and sickle of the defunct Union. However,
I just think it'd be cool to kind of own just like pieces like that, just to have that kind of history around. I just think it'd be cool.
of the defunct Union.
Cool.
However, today, Russia is much different. I'd even say we tend to take it for granted how far they've come. The transition from Union to Federation was one that may have legally happened overnight, but mentally, it took decades. This is best shown in, of course, none other than the gear. The Russian armed forces today has just about finally put the old equipment to rest. They've even changed the buckles. So, in an official sense, Soviet gear has died. But that doesn't mean the Soviets' legacy has ended with the Federation. It would be hard for us to forget how much this equipment got around. It can be found all across the globe. Many countries hold on to their surplus for when they might need to call upon the all reliable, just as Russia had done in the 90s. And for those without borders or government, insurgencies find it just as simple, sustainable, and cheap as the Soviet army had. And we don't even need to go as far as the Middle East or Africa to find it. We can simply just go back to the source. Because while the governmental forces of Russia may be able to obtain bigger and better gear, they're not the only fighters in Eastern Europe. Trouble continues in the Ukraine and the Caucasus, and with it, anyone of the former Union may be looking upon their old uniform, weapons, or badges. It was the gear that brought them through the Afghan war. It was the gear that brought them through the 90s, and maybe they believe it will be the gear that brings them through the next war. They haven't yet died, so why should their gear? Now,
So yeah, I guess I'm sure there could be like a lot of people that still have their old Soviet gear in their closet, and maybe still have their weapons in their closet, just for, I don't know, doomsday ends up coming upon them, and they're like they can go and they're ready to go, kind of thing. Maybe, I don't know.
this video has of course been my first foray into studio work. It certainly has room for improvement, but the learning experience has been so...
Okay, I don't think I need to know about your the way you film, because I know you film way better than me. My little mini camera here, but anyways, okay, that was kind of pretty much what I expected. It was definitely different having him, this guy from Future History talk to me. I was expecting actual, like, a lot more visuals on it, but still very cool stuff and great information. So why it never died, pretty much because even after the Soviet Union went away, their old gear still was used. So I guess that's more along the line. I mean, it just didn't die in many aspects, I guess, but that's definitely super interesting, especially the belt buckle. You know, years and years later, still using the old Soviet belt buckle, which was, I'm sorry, looked really cool. It kind of a really cool piece to own. But anyways, let me know your thoughts below. Like and subscribe, especially maybe those who live in Russia, you know, and kind of know a little more about history. Like, you guys, you know, have friends. Do a lot of people own this kind of stuff? You know, is it a thing? But anyways, guys, yeah, hit the like and subscribe, and catch you guys in future videos. Another interesting, cool little video here. Peace. Thank you guys for watching.